The Great Hall of the Galactic Concord had stood for 10,000 years. Its walls were made of stone from 100 different worlds. Its ceiling reached so high that clouds sometimes formed inside it. Here, the elder races of the galaxy came to speak of war and peace, of trade and treaties. Here, the fate of entire species was decided. On this day, the hall was full. Representatives from 30 different species sat in their assigned places. Some had scales, some had fur. Some had no bodies at all and existed only as floating lights, but all of them had come to hear the same thing. The Dominion had called this meeting. They wanted the galaxy to know about their next conquest. High Commander stood at the center of the hall. He was tall, nearly 3 meters in height. His body was covered in thick black armor that was not clothing but his own skin. His eyes were red like burning coals. His claws could cut through metal. His species, had conquered 43 worlds. They were afraid of nothing. "We have found a new species," announced. His voice echoed through the Great Hall. "They call themselves humans. They come from a small blue planet at the edge of the galaxy. They have only recently learned to travel between stars. They are weak. They are soft. They will make excellent slaves." Many in the hall nodded. This was normal. The strong conquered the weak. This was the way of the galaxy. But one figure stood up. He was old, so old that his body was bent and his legs shook when he walked. He was an insect-like creature with large, compound eyes that could see in every direction at once. They were one of the oldest races in the galaxy. They did not conquer. They did not fight. They only watched. They had been watching for a very long time. "I must speak," the ambassador said. His voice was thin and weak, like wind through dry leaves. Looked at him with annoyance. "Speak then, old one, but be quick." The ambassador walked slowly to the center of the hall. Every step seemed to cause him pain, but his many eyes were sharp and clear. "Do not attack the humans," he said. Laughter filled the hall. The soldiers standing behind made sounds of amusement. Even some of the other species smiled or made their own versions of laughter. "Do not attack them," repeated. "Why not look at them?" He waved his claw and a hologram appeared in the air. It showed a human being. "They have no claws, they have no armor, they have no venom, they cannot see in the dark, they cannot hear like we can, they live for less than 100 years, they are nothing." The ambassador did not laugh, he did not smile, he simply waited for the laughter to stop. When it did, he spoke again. "We have watched the humans for a very long time," he said. "Longer than any of you. We watched them when they were still living in caves. We watched them when they learned to make fire. We watched them when they killed their own planet's great beasts. We watched them when they made war upon each other." "And what did you see?" asked. "More weakness." "No," the ambassador said. "We saw something that made us afraid." The hall went quiet. They were never afraid. They had seen empires rise and fall. They had watched stars die. Nothing frightened them. "The humans speak to their shadows," the ambassador continued. "They give names to their fears. They tell stories about monsters in the dark, but they do not run from these monsters. They walk into the darkness to find them. They hunt the things that hunt them." Made a sound of disgust. "Stories for children." "No," the ambassador said. "It is something more. Every other species in the galaxy runs from fear. We hide from what scares us. We avoid danger. This is wisdom. This is survival, but humans are different. They take their fear and they make it into a weapon. They do not just survive the darkness, they become the darkness." The hall was silent now. Even the ones who had laughed before were listening. "We tried to warn others," the ambassador said. His voice became sad. "We warned the Empire 300 years ago. They attacked a human colony ship that had wandered into their space. They killed 200 humans. Within 50 years, the Empire was gone, not conquered. Gone. The humans did not take their worlds. They simply made the afraid to sleep, afraid to eat, afraid to exist. They destroyed themselves trying to escape what the humans had become." His red eyes narrowed. "Lies." "We warned the ambassador continued. "They thought humans would make good food. They raided human ships for meat. They are now extinct. No one knows exactly what the humans did to them. We only know that at the end they were begging for death." "Enough," growled. "We warned the ambassador said, his voice rising. "They were shapeshifters. They thought they could hide among the humans and control them from within. The humans found them, every single one, and what the humans did to we do not speak of it. Some things are too terrible for words." "I said enough," slammed his claw against the floor. The sound echoed like thunder. The ambassador looked at him, all of his many eyes focused on the High Commander, and in those ancient eyes saw something he did not expect. He saw pity. "You will not listen," the ambassador said softly. "They never listen. The strong never listen until it is too late." He turned and began to walk away. His old legs carried him slowly toward the door. "The humans have a saying," he called back without turning around. "They say, 'Do not wake the sleeping giant.' You are about to wake something far worse, High Commander. You are about to wake the thing that even giants fear." Watched him go, then he laughed. It was a loud, cruel laugh. "The old fool has gone mad," he announced to the hall. "They have watched for so long that they have forgotten what strength looks like. We have conquered 43 worlds. We do not fear shadows. We do not fear stories. We do not fear anything." He raised his claw high. "The invasion fleet will launch tomorrow. The human colony of New Helsinki will be ours within a week. And then the galaxy will see what happens to weak species who think they can stand among the stars." The soldiers cheered. The other species in the hall said nothing. Some of them wondered if the old was right, but none of them spoke up. None of them wanted to anger the... Outside the great hall, the ambassador stopped and looked up at the stars. "I am sorry," he whispered to the humans who could not hear him. "I tried, I always try." Then he walked away because he knew what was coming and he did not want to see it again. New Helsinki was a frozen world. Ice covered everything. The sun was small and far away, giving little warmth. But humans had come here anyway. They had built great domes to keep out the cold. They had dug deep into the ice to find valuable metals. 40,000 humans lived here. Miners and their families. Children who had never known any other home. Old people who had come here to build something new. They were simple people. They worked hard. They laughed and loved and dreamed of better days. They did not know that death was coming for them. The invasion fleet arrived at night. 200 warships filled the sky like a swarm of angry insects. Each ship was armed with weapons that could destroy cities. Each ship carried soldiers who had killed on dozens of worlds. High Commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crushing Tide. He looked down at the small blue lights of the human colony and smiled. This would be easy. This would be fast. The humans would see power and they would fall to their knees. "Open a channel," he commanded. "Let them hear their fate." His voice boomed across every radio frequency on the planet. "Humans of New Helsinki, I am High Commander of the Dominion of. You are now property of the Empire. You will surrender immediately. You will turn off your weapons. You will open your doors. You will kneel before your new masters. If you do this, some of you may live. If you do not, all of you will die. You have 1 hour to decide." Sat back in his command chair, he expected panic. He expected screaming and crying and desperate pleas for mercy. This was what always happened. But the humans were silent. For 30 minutes there was nothing, no response, no signal, no communication at all. Felt something strange, a small feeling in his stomach that he did not recognize. He ignored it. "Perhaps their radios are broken," one of his officers suggested. "Perhaps they are too afraid to speak," another said. Then finally a transmission came from the planet. A single voice. It was calm, it was quiet, it did not shake with fear. "You have made a mistake," the voice said. "You still have time to leave." Stared at the communication screen. He could not believe what he was hearing. This tiny colony, these weak creatures, were telling him to leave. He began to laugh, then his laugh turned into anger. "Destroy the main dome," he ordered. "Kill them all, leave nothing standing." His weapons officers obeyed. Beams of burning light shot down from the fleet. They struck the largest dome of New Helsinki. The dome cracked like an egg. Air rushed out into the frozen night. Fire and ice mixed together in a terrible storm. 12,000 humans died in less than a minute. Men and women, children and bobbies, the old and the young. 12,000 lives ended because was angry. The soldiers cheered. Another easy victory, another world conquered. But then something strange happened. The humans did not run. The survivors did not try to escape in ships. They did not call for help. They did not surrender. Instead, they went down. Deep beneath the ice of New Helsinki, there were tunnels, old mining tunnels that went down for kilometers. The humans vanished into these tunnels like water sinking into sand. One moment they were there. The next moment they were gone. "Find them," commanded. "Send soldiers into those tunnels, bring me prisoners." 500 soldiers went into the tunnels. They were the best warriors in the fleet. They had night vision. They had heat sensors. They had weapons that could cut through rock. None of them came back. At first thought they were just taking a long time. Then he tried to contact them. Nothing, no response, no life signs, nothing at all. He sent another 500 soldiers. The same thing happened. They went into the tunnels. They disappeared. Silence. Began to feel that strange feeling in his stomach again. It was stronger now. He still did not know what it was. Then the lights on his ship began to flicker. "What is happening?" he demanded. His officers checked their screens. Their faces went pale. "We do not know, High Commander. There is something in our systems, something that should not be there." One by one, ships in the fleet began to go dark. Their lights turned off. Their engines stopped. They floated dead in space. When power was restored hours later, the crews were found dead, not killed by weapons. Their life support had been turned off. They had frozen in the cold of space. Some ships had been piloted into each other. Others had opened their own airlocks. No enemy was ever seen. No human ship had come near the fleet. No human weapon had been fired. Looked at the bodies of his soldiers. He looked at the wreckage of his ships. He had come here with 200 warships. In one night he had lost 50. "How," he whispered, "how is this possible?" His officers had no answer. They checked every sensor. They reviewed every recording. They found nothing. It was as if the deaths had simply happened on their own, as if the ships had decided to kill themselves. But knew better. He knew that somewhere in those dark tunnels, somewhere in the shadows of that frozen world, the humans were watching, waiting, planning. He remembered the words of the ambassador. They walk into the darkness to find the monsters. They become the darkness. For the first time in his long life, felt something he had never felt before. It took him a moment to recognize it because it was so unfamiliar. It was a cold feeling, a tight feeling. It made his hearts beat faster and his claws shake. It was fear. But he was the High Commander of the Empire. He had conquered 43 worlds. He could not show fear to his soldiers. "This changes nothing," he announced to his remaining fleet. "The humans are clever, they have tricks, but tricks will not save them. We will burn this entire planet to ash. We will melt the ice and boil the oceans. We will leave nothing alive." He gave the order. His ships began to charge their weapons for a full planetary bombardment. But deep beneath the ice, in the darkness of the tunnels, a human woman named Admiral Lyra was listening to every word through a communication device she had planted on a ship. She looked at the other survivors around her. Their faces were dirty and tired and sad. They had lost friends. They had lost family. 12,000 of their people were dead. But their eyes were not afraid. Their eyes were something else, something that they had never seen before and would soon learn to fear. Their eyes were patient. "They think they know what we are," Admiral said softly. "They think we are weak. They think we will break." She looked up at the ice above her, toward the enemy fleet that was preparing to destroy everything. "Let them burn our world," she said. "It does not matter. We have already sent the message. Help is coming. And when it arrives, they will learn what happens to those who harm our children." In the darkness of the tunnel, surrounded by the ghosts of 12,000 dead, the survivors of New Helsinki began to plan their revenge. 3 months had passed since the attack on New Helsinki had burned the planet. He had melted the ice and turned the colony into glass. He had declared victory and returned home to celebrate. But the celebration did not last long. The humans did not send a war fleet. They did not attack worlds with bombs and weapons. They did something far worse. They sent the... No one knew how many there were. No one knew their real names. They were human soldiers, but they were not like normal soldiers. They did not wear uniforms. They did not march in lines. They did not announce themselves with flags and horns. They simply appeared in places they should not be, did things that should not be possible, and then vanished like smoke. Admiral Lyra sat in her command room aboard the human carrier ship called the Retribution. She was reading reports from across space. Every report made her smile, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had seen too much pain and had learned to find comfort in justice. "They have reached the home world," one of her officers reported. "Operation Shadow Memory is complete." Admiral nodded. "Tell me the details." The officer checked his screen. Last night, Admiral of the Third Fleet woke up in his private bedroom. His guards were outside his door. His security systems were all working perfectly. Nothing was wrong. "And yet," Admiral asked. And yet when he opened his eyes, he found his entire command staff dead around his bed. 20 officers, all killed silently while he slept. On his pillow next to his head there was a human child's toy, a small stuffed animal, the kind human children sleep with. Admiral closed her eyes. She thought of the children who had died at New Helsinki, the children who would never hold their toys again, the children whose parents would never see them grow up. "What happened to Admiral?" she asked. "He has not left his room in 2 weeks. He refuses to sleep. He screams at anyone who comes near him. He keeps asking where the humans are hiding. He sees them in every shadow." The officer continued with more reports. On a breeding world, the entire defense system had been turned off for exactly 1 hour. No attack came. No bombs fell. The system simply turned on again after 60 minutes, but the message was clear. The humans could have destroyed everything. They chose not to, this time. On the holy moon, the most sacred place in their empire, the ancient texts of their religion had been replaced. Every book, every scroll, every carving on every wall, all of them now showed the same thing. Photographs of the dead humans from New Helsinki, pictures of burned children and frozen families and broken bodies, thousands of faces staring out from what used to be prayers. "The priests are calling it the desecration," the officer said. "Some of them have gone mad. They say their gods have abandoned them." Admiral opened her eyes. Their gods did not abandon them. They abandoned themselves when they killed innocent people. She stood up and walked to the window of her command room. Outside, the stars were cold and distant. Somewhere out there, they were learning what fear truly meant. The humans called it the doctrine of consequence. It was not about revenge. It was not about anger. It was about teaching a lesson that would never be forgotten. For every human life taken in aggression, the cost would be repaid, not in deaths. The humans did not want to become killers like they repaid in fear. They repaid in sleepless nights and paranoid days. They repaid in the certain knowledge that nowhere was safe. No door was strong enough. No guard was awake enough. No wall was high enough. They could be anywhere. They could be everywhere, and you would never see them until it was too late. On the home world, High Commander sat in his personal fortress. It was the strongest building on the planet. The walls were 10 meters thick. There were guards on every floor. Sensors watched every room. Nothing could get in without being detected. Had not slept in days. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the faces of dead soldiers. Every time the lights flickered, he reached for his weapon. Every shadow seemed to move when he was not looking directly at it. His officers told him he was being paranoid. The humans were far away. The war was going well. There was nothing to fear. Then one morning, woke up to find a message written on his bedroom wall. The letters were written in something red. He did not want to know what. The message said, "We are already here. We have always been here. We will always be here. Sleep well, High Commander." Screamed, he called his guards. They searched the entire fortress. They found nothing. No sign of entry, no footprints, no evidence that anyone had been there at all. But the message was real. The red letters dripped slowly down the wall. Ordered his guards to sleep in his room. He ordered lights to be on at all times. He ordered food to be tasted by others before he ate it. He ordered his clothes to be checked for poison. It did not help. 3 days later, he found a photograph under his pillow. It showed him sleeping. The photograph had been taken from inside his room, standing right next to his bed, while his guards watched the door. The photograph had a note attached. It said, "We could have killed you. We chose not to this time." Began to shake. He could not stop shaking. His claws clicked against each other. His red eyes darted around the room, looking for enemies that were not there. Or were they there? Were they watching him right now? Were they in the walls, in the ceiling, in the very air he was breathing? Across space, the same thing was happening to others. Generals found their battle plans posted on public walls. Admirals found their secret codes broadcast to everyone. Politicians found recordings of their private conversations playing on public screens. The humans never killed unless they had to. That was not the point. The point was to show that they were not safe, that they would never be safe, that the humans could reach them anywhere, anytime, for any reason. On the retribution, Admiral received word that had ordered his own officers executed for failing to find the human spies. He had killed 30 of his own people in 1 day. "He is destroying himself," her officer said. "They have not killed anyone in weeks, but has killed dozens of his own soldiers because he suspects everyone." Admiral nodded slowly. That is the doctrine of consequence. We do not need to destroy them, we just need to make them destroy themselves. She thought of the ambassador and his warnings. She understood now why the ancient race had been so afraid of humans. It was not because humans were strong. It was because humans understood something that other species did not. The worst prison is the one you build in your own mind. The worst enemy is the one you cannot see. The worst fear is the one that never ends. They had learned to conquer worlds. The humans had learned to conquer minds. And the war was only beginning. The great hall of the Galactic Concord was full again. The same stone walls, the same high ceiling, the same representatives from 30 different species. But this time the mood was different. This time there was no laughter. Everyone had heard the stories. Rumors had spread across the galaxy like fire. The mighty empire was falling apart. Their fleets were afraid to leave port. Their soldiers were killing each other. Their leaders were going mad. And at the center of it all was one species that no one had taken seriously: the humans. High Commander walked into the Great Hall. Or rather, he tried to walk. His legs shook with every step. His once-proud body was bent and broken. His black armor was cracked in many places. His red eyes were dim and surrounded by dark circles. He had not slept properly in months. The other species stared at him. Many of them had seen him before, standing tall and proud, declaring his conquest of human space. Now he looked like a ghost of that creature. He looked like something that had been eaten from the inside. Guards had to help him to the center of the hall. When he got there, he stood swaying for a moment as if he might fall. Then he spoke, and his voice was nothing like before. It was thin, weak, afraid. "I came to warn you," he said. The hall was silent. No one laughed this time. The humans paused. His eyes moved around the room, looking at shadows in the corners, looking for things that might not be there. The humans are not what we thought they were. He took a shaking breath. We thought they were weak. We thought their soft bodies and short lives made them easy prey. We thought we could crush them like we crushed so many others. His voice cracked. We were wrong, we were so wrong. He raised one claw and pointed at the assembly. They are not warriors, he said. Do you understand? They are something else, something worse. Warriors fight you face to face. Warriors meet you in battle. You can see a warrior. You can kill a warrior, but the humans are not warriors. He began to laugh, but it was a terrible laugh. A broken laugh. The laugh of something that had lost its mind. They are ghosts, he whispered. They are shadows. They are the thing you see in the corner of your eye, but when you turn to look, nothing is there. They are the sound you hear at night, but when you listen closely, there is only silence. They are everywhere and nowhere. They are everything and nothing. He stumbled forward, and his guards caught him. I have seen the recordings, he said. From my own ships, from my own fortress, I will show you. He waved his claw and a hologram appeared in the air. It showed the inside of a warship. The corridor was empty. Guards stood at every door. Sensors watched every corner. Then for just a moment the lights flickered. When they came back on, something was different. A guard was missing. Then the lights flickered again. Another guard was gone, then again, and again. One by one the guards disappeared. No sound, no struggle, no blood. They simply vanished. The recording ended with an empty corridor. Every guard was gone. Only the lights remained, flickering in the silence. We found them later, said. In a storage room, all of them dead, arranged in a circle, with photographs of human children in their hands, children from New Helsinki. The assembly was completely silent. Some of the representatives looked sick, others looked terrified. But that is not the worst part, continued. The worst part is that we never saw the humans, not once. Our sensors found nothing. Our cameras showed nothing. They moved through our ships like they were not even real, like they were made of shadow and darkness and nothing else. He looked at the ambassador who sat in his usual place. The old insect creature said nothing. He only watched with his many sad eyes. You tried to warn me, said to him. You told me that humans walk into the darkness. You told me they become the darkness. I did not understand. Now I do. He turned back to the assembly. We are apex predators on our world, he said. The evolved to hunt. We have claws that can cut through bone. We have armor that can stop bullets. We have instincts that have been sharpened by millions of years of killing. We are afraid of nothing. He paused. His whole body was shaking now. But humans are the apex predators of fear itself. Do you understand? They do not hunt bodies, they hunt minds, they hunt souls. They find the thing you are most afraid of and they become that thing. They live in your nightmares. They make your own thoughts into weapons against you. He pointed at his own head. I cannot get them out, he whispered. They are in here, in my mind. Every time I close my eyes, I see them. Every time I hear a sound, I think they are coming for me. Every time I see a shadow, I think they are watching. I cannot escape them. I will never escape them. He fell to his knees. His guards tried to help him up, but he pushed them away. I was the High Commander of the Empire, he said, his voice breaking. I conquered 43 worlds. I killed millions of enemies. I was the most powerful being in this sector of the galaxy. Tears began to fall from his red eyes. No one had ever seen a cry before. Now I am afraid of the dark, he whispered. I am afraid to sleep. I am afraid of my own shadow. The humans did this to me, not with weapons, not with armies, just with fear. Just with the promise that they could kill me whenever they wanted and the knowledge that they have chosen not to. Yet. He looked up at the assembly one last time. Do not make our mistake, he begged. Do not attack them, do not hurt them, do not even threaten them, because once you become their enemy, you will never know peace again. They do not forgive, they do not forget. They will pass their hatred to their children and their children's children. They will chase you across centuries, they will hunt you across galaxies, and they will never ever stop. He collapsed on the floor of the Great Hall. His guards carried him away. The assembly watched in silence. The ambassador stood up slowly. His old legs shook, but his voice was steady. I told you, he said simply. I tried to warn you, humans do not fear the dark fears them. He looked around the hall at all the species who had laughed at his warning months ago. None of them were laughing now. Remember this day, he said. Remember what you have seen, remember what happens to those who challenge humanity, because the humans will remember too. They will remember everything. They always do. He turned and walked out of the hall just as he had done before. But this time, no one called him a fool. This time, everyone watched him go in silence. And somewhere in that silence, in the shadows of the Great Hall, something moved. Something watched. Something smiled. The humans were already there. They had always been there. And now everyone knew it. 1 year had passed since the attack on New Helsinki. 1 year of fear. 1 year of shadows. 1 year of the Empire slowly falling apart from the inside. The war ended not with a great battle or a final explosion. It ended with a piece of paper and a signature. The treaty grounds were in neutral space, far from any world or empire. A small station floated there among the stars. It had been built centuries ago for exactly this purpose. A place where enemies could become something else. Admiral Lyra arrived first. She wore her uniform with all its medals and ribbons. She looked tired but proud. Behind her stood a small group of human soldiers. Among them were survivors from New Helsinki. They had earned the right to see this day. They arrived next, but it was not who led them. The High Commander had been removed from power months ago. He now lived in a small room alone, afraid of everything, waiting for a death that never came. The humans had decided he would not die. They had decided he would live with his fear forever. This was the worst punishment they could imagine. The new leader of was a female named. She was younger than, wiser too. She had watched her empire destroy itself and had decided that enough was enough. The two leaders sat across from each other at a simple table. Between them was the treaty. It was a long document, but the important parts were simple. They would pay for the rebuilding of New Helsinki, every credit, every resource, until the colony was exactly as it had been before the attack. They would return all worlds they had conquered. Every species they had enslaved would go free. Would stand trial for war crimes. He would face justice for ordering the deaths of 12,000 innocent humans. Read the treaty carefully, then she signed it. Her claw shook as she wrote her name. It is done, she said quietly. The war is over. Admiral nodded, but she did not smile. The war is over, but this is not about the war. This is about what comes after. She stood up and looked at directly. We did not want this, she said. We did not want to become the thing you fear in the dark. We came to the stars with hope. We came with dreams of friendship and discovery and peace. We wanted to meet new species and learn new things and build something beautiful together. Her voice grew harder. But you killed our children. You burned our homes. You laughed while innocents died. And so we became what we had to become. We became the nightmare. We became the shadow. We became the thing that even the darkness is afraid of. She leaned forward. We take no joy in this. Every we broke, every mind we shattered, every night of terror we caused. It cost us something too. We do not want to be monsters, but we will become monsters if that is what it takes to protect our people. Lowered her head. I understand. Do you? Admiral asked. Do you really understand? Because this treaty is not just with us. This treaty is with every species in the galaxy, and the terms are simple. She walked to the window and looked out at the stars. We will never strike first, she said. Never. If you leave us alone, we will leave you alone. We will trade with you. We will help you. We will be the best friends you have ever had. We will give you medicine when you are sick and food when you are hungry and shelter when you are cold. We will protect you from danger and stand beside you in times of trouble. This is who we want to be. She turned back to face. But if you harm us, if you kill our people, if you hurt our children, her eyes were cold and hard. Then we will show you why your ancestors were afraid of the night. We will show you what it means to have no place to hide, no moment of peace, no hope of escape. We will become your nightmare, and we will never wake up until you understand in your bones, in your very soul, what it means to challenge humanity. The room was silent, could not meet her eyes. The doctrine of consequence, Admiral said. That is what we call it. For every innocent life you take, you will pay, not in blood. Blood is too easy. You will pay in fear. You will pay in centuries of watching every shadow and jumping at every sound. You will pay by knowing that we could end you at any moment and choosing to let you live with that knowledge instead. She walked back to the table. Tell your people, tell everyone, spread this message across the galaxy. Let every species know, let every empire hear, let every world understand. She picked up the treaty and held it up. Do not challenge humans. Survival is not guaranteed. The treaty was signed. The war was over. They went home to rebuild their broken empire, forever changed by what they had experienced. But the real change happened in the rest of the galaxy. The story spread. Every species heard what had happened to the mighty. Every empire learned about thee and the doctrine of consequence. Every world saw the footage of the greatest conqueror of his age, crying on the floor of the galactic conquered because he was afraid of the dark. A new law was passed. It was not written in any treaty. It was not decided by any council. It was simply understood by everyone, an unofficial rule that no one would ever break. Do not challenge humans. Survival is not guaranteed. Years passed, then decades, then centuries. The humans spread across the galaxy. They built colonies on 1,000 worlds. They made friends with hundreds of species. They were kind and generous and helpful, just as Admiral had promised. But no one ever forgot what they were capable of. No one ever forgot New Helsinki. No one ever forgot the shadows that moved without being seen and the ghosts that killed without being heard. No one ever forgot the Empire and how it destroyed itself from within. The ambassador lived long enough to see the new galaxy take shape. On his last day, he called a young human diplomat to his side. I tried to warn them, the old ambassador said. His voice was barely a whisper now. I always tried to warn them, but they never listened. The human diplomat held his hand gently. Why did you try so hard to help us? The smiled with his ancient, tired eyes. Because we saw what you could become, he said. We saw the fire in your hearts and the ice in your eyes. We saw the love you have for your families and the fury you feel when they are harmed. We saw creatures who named their fears and hunted their nightmares and turned their darkness into light. He squeezed the human's hand. We knew that someday you would either save the galaxy or destroy it. We wanted to make sure you had no reason to destroy. He closed his eyes. Take care of the stars, little human. You have earned them. The ambassador died peacefully, surrounded by friends from a dozen different species. His warnings had finally been heard. His work was finally done. And somewhere in the great hall of the Galactic Conquered, a new plaque was placed on the wall. It was simple, just a few words, but everyone who passed it stopped to read. They ignored the shadows we spoke of. Do not challenge humans. Survival is not guaranteed. Below the words was a picture. It showed a human child holding a stuffed toy, smiling at the camera. An innocent child. A child who deserved to grow up in peace. A reminder of why the shadows existed. A promise that they always would.